Salutations and greetings, y'all. This is Cool Cat once again, coming from Get Right Media. Today we're going to talk about 5 more tips for concert videography. Before we get started, as you all know, through the last year we've been through a lot of changes, and now people are starting to open back up, mask off. For me, I still wear my mask anyway, so. Tip number 1, always try to shoot 60 frames. 48 to 60, you can shoot more if you want, but me personally, my sweet spot is 60 frames per second. 30 is okay, but you never know what you might want to slow down, so 60 frames a second is the go-to. 24 frames is not ideal for this one because if you want to slow it down, you can, but it's gonna look choppy and you don't want that, especially if they paid you. Tip number 2, color profile. Typically with concerts, I try to, whatever I shoot with, whether it's the G85 or my Fujifilm XS10, I try to make it flat as possible. So with the G85, I use center light D or V. As far as the Fujifilm, I use the F-log profile. And if you want to shoot it with a black magic, of course you want to shoot it in the film profile. Tip number 3, unless you're on stage, I would not use a gimbal, and that's just me personally. You can if you want, but number 1, if you're going through a crowd of people, gimbal is not really ideal because people are bumping into each other and y'all kind of in close proximity. And on top of that, you got more of a chance of dropping and breaking your equipment, and that's never good. And if you need to take pictures, you can quickly switch it like 1-2. 9 times out of 10, I'm shooting pictures as well if I'm doing a concert. It's all about being comfortable and being able to switch quickly on the fly because you never know what you might feel. So that is very important. But if you're just shooting video, don't worry about it. You can get a little bit more creative when you're shooting handheld as well. So just keep that in mind. But it's all about your personal preference and everything. So if you prefer to use a gimbal, hey, go for it. Tip number 4, shoot with fast glass. Anything really above 2.8 aperture is dead. I mean, you can use it, but you're gonna have to crank up that ISO, and then you're gonna have to denoise it, or you know what I'm saying, take the grain out of it, whatever. To save you that hassle, to avoid raising up the ISO, just shoot with fast glass. But I will say, because I was far away, I did have to put in something that was like 3.5, but luckily the lights were just right, so I would be good. It's a case by case. If it's bright enough for you, then I would go ahead and use something above 2.8. But typically, if you can, try to stay below that 2.8 aperture. With the Panasonic Lumix G85, I use a come light adapter, I think that's what it's called. So it takes the aperture from 1.8 all the way down to 1.3. Think about that. That's pretty good. So I'm always good when I take my G85 in low light. Always good. The adapter I have for the Fujifilm, all it does is 1.8. I didn't get the magnified glass adapter with it, so it's just 1.8. But don't get me wrong, that's great. That's absolutely great. So I mean, just keep that in mind. And tip number 5, going back to the lens again, whether you're shooting zoom or prime lens. What is a zoom lens? A zoom lens is typically something like this, where you have the power to zoom it in or not. And I do not have a prime lens to show you at this time because it's all the way across the room. But you cannot zoom, so you're gonna have to physically do a whole lot more moving throughout the concert. I don't like to move around too much, so if I can help it. So you want to get a decent amount of range when you do concert for videography. So just keep that in mind. A prime lens, you can't zoom, but it usually gives you sharper imagery. So like I said, it really depends on you. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It just depends on your preference, and sometimes it'll face a little bit more issues with one or the other, but you can overcome anything as long as you put your mind to it and you find the ins and out on your own. You can do it. I believe in you. But that's all I got for right now. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And I'll get back with you. Until next time, Cool Cat out of here.
And you know this is the time, if you did not come to have some fun, to get the fuck out. Alright? Y'all dig what I'm saying?
I was down, I was out. Mama told me stay prayed up. Knew I had what it takes. Hit the stage, got my weight up. Grabbed the mic, put in work. Now I got my mind made up. All you niggas gon' pay up. I was down, now I'm about to go way up. Way up. Way up. Way up. Way up. I was down, now I'm about to go way up. Way up.